So we talk about the player personality, the wargaming personality. And as you evolve in your favorite wargaming system, over time, in that narrative, you're going to kind of gravitate towards certain army builds. You're going to kind of look towards certain play styles. And this isn't necessarily independent of each gaming system. You might see this across multiple gaming systems. I love playing Warhammer 40,000. I love playing BattleTech and historicals, Chain of Command, World War II, along with stuff like Wings of Glory, and recently Pacific Rim Extinction has been occupying a lot of my time. The player personality, my player personality is visible through all of those things. And the challenge here, of course, there's no right or wrong. It's just what you like to play, how you like to play it. As you play with a group of friends, and it could be part of a big gaming club, it could be basement battle reports, it could just be getting together and roll some dice, you know, people kind of know what to expect. They kind of know the stuff you're going to play and what you're going to do. Would that be a tell? But pushing that ahead, that's part of the fun. That's part of the narrative. So what is my player personality reflected in various systems? Do we call them like Fritzisms? I don't know. Well, the first is big guns never tire. So if there's some big guns, autocannon 20s, tanks with battle cannons, back when I played Imperial Guard, you know, AC-20s, Hunchback, Victor, Atlas, and BattleTech. Stuff like Land Raiders with lots of guns and Warhammer 40,000. I like big guns. I like the idea of doing lots and lots and lots of damage. And of course, what we see in a lot of rule systems is the fact that there is going to be some disadvantage. There's going to be some tactica where you have to get up there. So it's not as simply as just taking the biggest guns and running up. Chain of Command, World War II historicals. Yeah, I love... the only reason I play late war Germans is because I want to have all those tanks on the table. And some of the late war tank destroyers, the guns are massive. They're slow. In Chain of Command, as soon as you go off the roads, there's a chance, or you move over hills or walls or through forests, especially if we're playing historical battlefields, Fortress Europe, Normandy, and all that stuff. Some of these tank destroyers are so heavy, you're going to get stuck. I mean, I've gotten stuck once or twice where I've got this big gun. It's not on a turret, so I have to spend movement to pivot. It's beastly slow. And I just went over some hedgerow, some wall, and now I'm stuck, and I'm trying to free myself. And, you know, there's an American anti-tank team coming up. Like, I got to do something. So there's always this trade-off. But I love big guns. I love big damage. It's that Dungeons & Dragons chaotic neutral. I will gamble everything on a dice roll. Absolutely. So we're going to take the biggest guns that we possibly can. The second player personality attribute would be there are times where you don't really know what to do. Either the game could go both ways, where you're like, I could take this objective, and if I take the objective, it'll give me an advantage now as we move into the end game, a little bit of extra insurance, but I don't quite know if I have the model mass to do it. Or I could be playing another opponent that I don't really know their player personality, or I'm not sure, hey, is this the real attack, or did they take this unit? What's going on? You're really not sure. There's going to be times where, despite the intel, despite the mission, despite knowing the rules, you don't know what's on the table. You really don't know which way to go. And, you know, I used to be consumed by analysis paralysis. And I used to think, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? And then I finally realized, like, look, when in doubt, just attack. You want to find out what's going on? Attack. Full attack. Everything on the table. Pushing forward. And I'm not talking about like one model moving forward and saying, I mean like just massive everything attack, decisiveness. That leaves you vulnerable. That kind of exposes everything, because once you commit to that, it's very hard to pull back. I mean, you've literally sounded the whistle, gone over the top. There is no coming back from that. So I don't attack immediately. You know, there's some back and forth. There's some tactica. But if I don't know what to do, reveal the plans. Attack. Just all-out attack. Third, glory. Now, there's kind of a subset of glory with my play style, but if there's a chance to go for absolute glory on the tabletop, I will take it. If there's a chance for a lot of what ifs to happen, where if I get into this position and I happen to do this and I happen to roll that and I can do this and I have this piece of war gear, I win. The sweeter the victory, the greater the victory. That's, it's hard for me to resist to do that. And settling that martial glory on the table is something that I find very hard to resist. How the heck did this happen? Because I was going to say in real life, in normal life, I'm pretty level-headed. I can logically think things out. But you give me that chance for glory on the table, like I have to take it. I think certainly there's the influence of martial arts, that pushing things out there, competition. But I think it really started from the fact, two things I would say it starts. When I started playing Dungeons & Dragons years ago, I wasn't into miniature wargaming yet. So all the D&D happened in my head. And I think that's vastly different than how D&D is played today. How I play D&D today, we've got the Dwarven Forge, we've got the painted miniatures, we've got the spell effects, we've got the background music, we've got the snacks, we've got all this stuff. You could walk in and be like, they're playing some sort of war game. But I was going to say back in the day, it was all in the mind. I had some paper to write down. I didn't even have hex paper, graph paper. You kind of had loose leaf paper because we're playing at recess, drawing out the dungeons. So D&D actively stimulated my imagination, hyper-stimulated my imagination, and I would see the glory fighting dragons. That's why in D&D I'm obsessed with fighting dragons. If I'm a player, I want to fight dragons. If I'm a DM, if you've played in any of my games, at some point you're going to fight a dragon. But seeing that in my mind, that catalyst just catalyzed it. So that kind of carried over where when I play a war game, I can see the lasers firing. I can see the models moving and turn by turn, just imagining what's that like, just to be there. That chance for glory, that chance to be, this is why I love infantry and Battletech, where if my infantry can destroy your mech, then that infantry is immediately going to swarm over that mech, just pull your neuro helmet out of the smoking wreckage and hold it up. And, imagine a downed mech smoking and there's 20 or 30 infantry, weapons raised, arms raised, just screaming victory. I'm sold on that right there. I'm just thinking about that. I'm ready to go out and buy some more infantry to even add more to the pile. That's what I kind of see. So if there's a chance for glory, we need to go for it. The other reason, I'm not going to name names. But for a long time, early on, Warhammer 40,000, I played with a great group of guys. I mean, I still do. I still play 40K, but we admittedly played way too much 40K. It was not healthy. It was about as healthy as when I was obsessed with playing DDO, so there's a lot of disclaimers there. But you know what? I was at a point in my life, I wouldn't trade it because I was at a point in my life where work and school and other commitments allowed me to maybe indulge a little bit more. So I was playing 40K Monday at the club, Wednesday with a couple of friends in the basement rolling some dice, Friday comic book heaven, afternoon, Sunday comic book heaven. Plus we were probably going to a tournament once or twice a month, Toy Wiz, Brother Grimm games out on Long Island. It was out of control. It was absolutely out of control. But the guys I would play with, this core group of guys, you didn't want to lose. You did not want to lose because if you lost, you heard about it all week. You got texts, you got phone calls, you got random memes sent to you. And it just was how long do I have to hear about this? Well, you got to hear about it until we play again, the next game. And the gaming group is pretty big. You might not play with the same person for a week. So I had to listen to that all week. Now, in all fairness, I was heaping it on too. It was okay. It was all good. But that influenced me where it's if I go for glory and I win, the bragging rights are even more insane. So pushing that out, that tended to lead to close combat armies. And if you've been following my channel for a while, way back, Way of Sam Han, This was kind of my launch onto YouTube, playing Jetbike Eldar, Vipers, Grav Tanks, and 40K. Still love the Army, still play the Army. But another big part was Black Templars, Khornate Space Marines, World Eaters. In the Warhammer 40,000 narrative, these are close combat armies that have to make it across the table, get into the assault, and put you to the bolt, pistol, and chainsword. And the Warhammer 40,000 rule set does not favor assault. It's a dice-based shooting game. Assault has always been at a disadvantage, except for a brief window in 4th where you could really get insane and infiltrate, and then not only consolidate into the assaults, but make free moves before you assault, and have dice to roll to get you, instead of 6 inches, 12, all sorts of crazy, crazy stuff. Outside of that brief window, assault is absolute rubbish. But in my mind, the glory of some of these really cheesy armies in Warhammer 40K, if I can make it across the table, you're trying to stop me, and I'm getting closer and closer and closer. I mean, this is the whole, my Berserkers of Scalathrax, Khornate World Eater army. This is the whole point of it. Just model mass of Berserkers coming at you. Battletech, I tend to favor mechs with the big guns, and I tend to favor mechs with, although I do have a longbow list and I have long range stuff, I do like mechs that are going to get close, because I'm going to try and punch you. I'm going to try and slam you. I mean, it's almost a given. If I'm 3 hexes away, you know what my next move is going to be. Because in my mind, it's, you can have your fancy tactics, you can have your narrative, you can have your rules, you can have your overlapping units and your elaborate lists. I get up there close, we're going to settle it dice to dice. We're going to settle it close combat to close combat. And the chance for glory, if it's there, and then, of course, it's a feedback loop, because sometimes it actually works. 2 games from Chain of Command. 2 games from Chain of Command. Playing late war Germans. I spent my points not on Panzers, not on Tigers, but on some older Panzer IIIs. And the rest was on infantry teams, machine gun teams, because I was making my way, I had to make up my way up this hill and secure an objective from the American invaders, Fortress Europe scenario. My tanks got taken out pretty early on because there were a pair of Shermans up on the hill just shooting at me. Okay, infantry still advanced. I had good cover, but the Sherman tanks were just literally blasting me away because they've got the main gun where you switch from AP to HE, high explosive, so that's putting out extra dice. They've got the ball-mounted machine gun, but the real heavy thing in Chain of Command is the 50 caliber gun up there. So I got 2 of these tanks blasting down on me. I got American infantry blasting down on me. I'm running up this hill. There's a small little farm, and we have a little farm with the fences, and there's literally some animal miniatures in there. I jump into this massive pig pen, horse pen, some sort of animal pen. I've got like 30 models in there, and I'm taking shock, and I'm pinned, and my senior officers are pulling shock off, but my fire rate is low. Like I'm stuck. I got 2 tanks. I wasn't even in the right band range yet to hit with my Panzer Shreks. I'm slowly getting whittled down. And in Chain of Command, you don't lose once your models get wiped out. That rarely happens. Usually what happens is your Chain of Command dice, which is used to activate units, that gets whittled down as you lose units, and units break and they get pinned. And at some point, that's it. The American forces are pushing forward, and I'm just like, you know what? We're just going to charge up the hill. We're just going to charge up that hill because they're close enough. The American fire teams, they're getting close enough where they're in the range band. They have a special rule where when they shoot, if you roll a 1 to hit, you get to re-roll because it represents just kind of this rolling fire. I'm getting creamed. That's it. I got one more turn, and we always play it out. So I'm looking and saying, you know what? I'm going to charge. I am going to charge. I'm going to do it. I'm going to issue my special order. We're going to throw the hand grenades over, and we're just going to charge. I swept up. I had the momentum, and I won the game just on that. We were like, wait, what? I mean, that's glory. The other time it got me in trouble, though, again, I always get in trouble with Chain of Command because I load up too many support points on the heavy tanks, or just the chance for glory is too much. We are advancing. British versus my Germans. We've got a road. We've got a wall and hedges on the left, wall and hedges on the right. We're making our way up. The British are in the defensive position. I'm in a defensive position. We're trading fire because no one's going to cross that road. We're behind the walls. We've got cover. Tanks were busy somewhere else. But I've got machine gun teams. This is late war. While my squads are smaller, I'm pumping out machine gun teams like crazy and just whittling down the British. I should have just stayed there. That's it. I should have just stayed there. But I'm looking and I'm counting and saying, well, I have massive amounts of infantry. You know, I've got like 40 dudes on the table, and the British have like 15 on the table. And senior officers hit, junior officers gone. Like, they're getting ready to break. All I got to do is sit there and just shoot the machine guns. But I'm looking. Now, it's not my fault, in fairness, because we listen to music when we play. We have some playlists. Usually it's the theme, the time period. So when we play Battletech, it's like, 80s music and 80s heavy metal. If it's 40K, it's like some sci-fi type stuff. And usually when it's historical gaming, we listen to the music during the time. But we had a different playlist this time, just a mix of all things. So I'm sitting there. It's my turn. I've got my command dice. I've got good activations. And I'm just going to be like, machine gun team shoot, machine gun team shoot, machine gun team shoot, drive the British off, cross the road, claim the house, win the game. Gladiator comes on. Gladiator is one of my most favorite, one of my most favorite movies out there. Are you not entertained? So Gladiator's coming on, and the speaker's just booming, and I'm getting pumped, and I'm like, we need to be entertained. I'm going to order a charge. I mean, imagine that, like 40 or 50 miniatures over the wall, cross the hill, bayonets, close combat. Like, let's show that martial spirit. And I'm like, but Gladiator's playing, gotta do it. That's crazy. That's insane, because in Chain of Command, the actual assaults are very, very brutal. But if your enemy is in defensive position and they have machine gun teams, literally they're just going to light you up. I mean, I'm going to lose like so many dudes just going in. Like, that's insane. But the chance for glory. I mean, picture that. Imagine that. The chance for glory. So I ordered the charge, and it even took my friend by surprise, because he's like, this makes no sense. Just ride this out. But that fury of Wotan just gripped me, and I was like, I need to charge. And actually, I got wiped out because I lost so much going in. My morale was almost broken. My senior officer, as he's leading the charge, Fritz always leads from the front. I always make sure my senior officer's in the front. He got hit. He's taken out. Nobody has any idea what's going on. It was just a good thing I got taken out, because it wouldn't even be a court-martial. It was just disaster. But that would be going for glory. So if there's a chance to go for glory, I will take it. I will be careful not to throw the game away, but it has happened, because think about that. Think about if I won. Those are some insights into my player personality. And as we play and as we meet new friends and play games with old friends, you're going to have certain units that you like, certain types of things that you like to play, and that player personality is going to come out. And whatever it is, I want to encourage you to embrace it, because you're going to win a lot of games. You're going to lose a lot of games. There's going to be a lot of games you don't even remember playing. But having fun, connecting, the social aspect, having fun, putting up a good game, and literally being able to think back over the years and remember some of these games, for me, that with my friends is the whole reason we're doing this wargaming thing.